Good evening and a very warm welcome to the weekend preview here on the West Yorkshire Football Show. I'm Chris Bell, and as ever, I'm joined by regular co-host Steven Browne. You all right, Brownie?
Yeah, good mate. Good mate. Thank you.
And our Bradford City correspondent, Kaz Walker. How are you, mate? You all right?
Yeah, good mate. You all right?
Yeah, doing well. It feels like a while since I've been able to kind of get on, so it's nice to be back. Obviously, the last time I think I saw you either virtually or in person was obviously when we had that little night out a couple of weeks ago. It was all good fun. Brownie, then we'll start with Leeds United. Steven Downs, though, actually, is going to join us later on as well to talk all things Huddersfield Town. But for the time being, we'll start with Leeds. Now, I mean, obviously, you and Jay did your own little thing last night, so I don't really know how much you kind of covered. I'm guessing everything.
Not really, no. So basically what that was is it's a new kind of show that we've got going, basically, where it's going to be a series where once a week we're going to take one topic and kind of discuss it at length. So last night was about Joe Gelhardt and where his future lies, obviously, because he's kind of disappeared off the scene. So we're only sticking to one topic, so there's still a lot left to discuss with Leeds United. I promise we've not kind of exhausted everything, but yeah, hopefully it'll be pretty interesting. There might even be a BL's topic soon, which is going to just cause all sorts of bedlam. So it should be fun and games. But no, still lots left to talk about with Leeds.
I mean, I feel like this is going to be opening a can of worms, but is this going to be some kind of nonsense along the lines of he's the best Championship manager ever?
No, it was going to be one of those sliding doors moments, which there's been a fair few being a Leeds fan. And it was going to be, what if we'd never have sacked him? Like, what would have happened?
Okay.
So we're going to do that, but we're going to put it out on the Twitter feed anyway. We're going to throw a couple of topics out there and see what guys would like us to do a show on. So
that's far better than the nonsensical thing of is he the best Championship manager ever?
Because he clearly is.
I mean, he isn't, but yeah, carry on. Oh, we started well. So, Leeds, to be fair, good win the weekend against Borough. Saw it through for that 3-2 win. And against the side that actually, despite, in particular, Jay's pre-season predictions of Middlesbrough doing terrible and Carrick to be sacked within like 6 weeks, they've turned it around really well, actually, on bad form. So that makes that win against Borough even better.
Yeah, absolutely, and they were decent. They were really decent, especially first half. They took an early lead, crazy really, because it's second game on trot after the Swansea game where we conceded a goal within the first minute or two. But we managed to pull it back, got on top, got the lead, and then managed to see it through. But yeah, no, I was pretty impressed with Middlesbrough. They were playing through our press at times, really calm, confident at the back. And it was tricky for Leeds. It was really difficult because I think there's been a few accusations going Leeds' way of a bit of complacency setting in, and I think it's that difficult thing of the expectations for Leeds this season and the squad is that we should be right at the top and we're heavy favourites for every game. But football doesn't always work like that. But those expectations are still there, especially when you've got £35 million players playing in your team. That expectation's there, but when you come up against a Middlesbrough, and to be fair, Ipswich at the start of the season, well-drilled teams with a clear identity, clear philosophy, probably more limited players, but what they're doing with those players is really impressive. And I think Leeds, sometimes we're relying on more individual brilliance, which we do have, especially comparatively to other teams. But it was a good test. It was a good one to get through. I mean, even second half when Middlesbrough lost a man, they kind of dealt with that really well as well. So we were kind of pushing on, and they were just hitting us on the break, and actually had a couple of good opportunities. So I was impressed by Middlesbrough. Actually, I think he's done a good job. And Jay's prediction seems a little bit wider than that, to be fair.
It does. It's one of those. I'll say, Jay was adamant, wasn't he, at the start of the season? We're going to fall off a cliff. They weren't going to be as good as they were last season. Carrick was going to get found out. And as I say, it looked that way for a little while. Don't get me wrong. They did start poorly. But, it's one of those rare situations where managers actually are given time to turn it around, and he has done.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's one of them managers as well. He's got ideas. He's not kind of just coming in on his reputation or any of that. It's about actual footballing ideas, and you can see there's a real identity and a way of playing in his teams. And I think it'll serve them well. Whether they can kind of bridge that quality gap to get a promotion, I'm not sure. I think the league's harder this year than it was last year. I think certainly with the teams that got relegated. But yeah, it's impressive to say, and you can see them being there or thereabouts definitely come the end of the season.
As for Leeds, then, given where you are, currently occupying, what is it, third, I think, in the Champions table,
third,
you must be feeling pretty confident and unusually happy as a Leeds United fan.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a nice change from the last couple of seasons that we're winning football games regularly, but I don't know. The expectation brings its own pressure as well. So for me, we have to get promoted this season. That's the kind of minimum thing I've put on the club now.
You've ruined the next question, but carry on.
I just feel like this is our best opportunity because of the sheer quality in the squad. I think the longer you're down there, the harder it gets. We had a long stint last time we got relegated, and I just want to see us bounce back. But it's so tough. I mean, you look at Ipswich as well. I mean, did you see the goal that they scored at the weekend? It's incredible what Kieran McKenna's done there. And if I wasn't a Leeds fan, I would absolutely be 1,000,000% behind Ipswich. I'd love to see them get promoted, but not at Leeds' expense, unfortunately for them. But I mean, not everything's perfect as well. I mean, there's a couple of issues. I mean, we look at the goalkeeper Melier, who I think everyone thought had improved again this season, but last couple of games he's letting shots go past him at his near post.
That Rotherham goal when we were out, and we kind of looked and thought, "Oh, you and Jay were moaning and groaning over your beers."
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. And again at the weekend, he's let a near post one go past him, and few question marks with him. I think he's good for the style of play that Farke wants. He's comfortable with his with the ball at his feet.
How old he is?
I think he's only about 22, 23. Yeah. And he's been through a lot. I mean, he's been through a real lot. I mean, he's got a promotion from the Championship when he was 19. He's played 3 years in the Premier League. He got absolutely mullered last season in terms of number of shots he was facing, and you could just see his confidence completely drain out of him.
But those first 2 years in particular in the Prem, he was lauded, not just by Leeds fans, to be fair, but by a lot of pundits and fans of other clubs alike. So you've kind of got to take the rough with the smooth, haven't you, as a young goalkeeper, or when you've got a young goalkeeper in there? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, there's no doubt about he got fast-tracked to being a first-team player after the issues and the ban that Kiko Casillas got. And, he came in and didn't lose his place. And like you say, he was fantastic for those first couple of seasons. But as a young player, when it starts to turn, when it goes wrong, and obviously Leeds were an absolute mess for 18 months, 2 years, it plays havoc with their confidence. And this season's been good for him. He has kind of rebuilt his reputation a little bit at Leeds, because I think everyone would have been happy to see him go in the summer, if they're being honest. But he's rebuilt his reputation, but just a few chinks in the armour that he needs to iron out. But like you say, I mean, he is still young. He's only 23, and it's not long ago that he was being linked with big money moves to like Chelsea for, you're talking 50, 60 million, and crazy figures. So there's a couple of things like that. I think the way Farke has dealt with everything this season has been unbelievable. But there's a couple of things where you think, he doesn't make subs quick enough. And sometimes the play can be a little bit predictable at times. But yeah, I mean, you're splitting hairs here because we're still doing well. There's a bit of a gap to them top two, but still plenty of games left. So hopefully we can catch them up.
Well, that's it. As you say, there's a long way to go. We've not hit the halfway stage. What are we? 19 games played, 7 points, as you say, to Ipswich, and 8 points to Leicester. But you are in the playoffs now, nicely by 10 points. So I was going to ask earlier on, kind of before you said it's got to be promotion, but what would be deemed as success and what would be deemed as failure, really? Because as I say, it's a very difficult-looking championship. If you make the playoff final and were to lose it, would that be a failure all of a sudden? Or is that still a very good season? It's just, one of those things that happens.
Well, the thing with Leeds is we are not a cup team in any way, shape or form. We're not a playoff team. We've never won the playoffs. We've lost at Wembley, I think, 3 times in the playoffs. The playoffs are just not made for Leeds, and the playoffs just do not go together. And
I'll take that and raise your Lincoln. I think it's 6 playoffs, or 6 sets of playoffs that I've seen as a fan. We've never been promoted.
Scoobs will see you right. How is Skabala? I was going to ask you, how is Skabala settling in at Lincoln?
He's doing all right.
There's a Leeds angle there.
It's kind of. I mean, we spoke on the WhatsApp group, and I was a bit like scratching my head, to be fair, because it's one of those that nobody really saw coming.
Yeah.
But he seems to have settled in quite nicely. Picked up a good win at Cambridge, and Yeah, I think to be fair, I think Lincoln are only 2 or 3 points off the playoffs in League One as it stands. So he's doing all right, steady away. Be interesting to see what January brings because there's been so much talk of Skubala just going to raid that Leeds United under 23 set up for loans or permanence.
Absolutely.
I think did Mark Jackson attempt that when he went from Leeds to MK Dons? Didn't he try to take it? Didn't quite work out.
I'm not sure. I don't remember him like going back to Raiders or anything, but I think it'd be a good idea. There's a couple of really good talented players there that if he could get his hands on.
Who's the young striker? Is it Mateo Joseph? Is he?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you'd get Mateo Joseph though.
There's talk of a loan, and to be fair, I saw him play actually for the England under 20s about a month or so ago, and he came off the bench and looked decent.
He is, but yeah. He's a
from what I saw of him in that game to kind of suggest whether it would be a good move or a bad one. But as I say, he's one that has been linked.
Maybe the Skubala factor could pull it, because I think he's.
It's one of those. Do you carry on playing under 21s and 23s football at Leeds, I guess, or come out for a loan move in League One, which is only obviously it's not exactly much lower down than the level the first team's at. So it's one of those. You wouldn't be too surprised.
Yeah, no. To be fair, he would be a right signing for you. I think he's just waiting to go. I mean, that's the problem. I mean, we've got so many attacking players like Joseph, Gelhardt. They're just not going to get the opportunities. We've seen Sam Greenwood go out on loan already to Middlesbrough. So it's unfortunate. Kevin likes Mateo Joseph.
All I'm saying is the last time a striker came on loan from Leeds United to Lincoln City, he went back far better than when he turned up, and that was David Sommer, and he was brilliant, like 9 goals in 14 games through. And off the back of that form, Leeds fans were clamouring for David Sommer to get a crack. And actually, I think he did before an injury kind of curtailed his career.
It looked like he was ready to come back.
It was David Sommer, but he was excellent. So if Mateo Joseph wants to come and does half as well as David Sommer all those years ago,
why not? Yeah, I mean, why not? When he'll have worked with Scoobs, so why not? I mean, use it, use those connections, and I think he'd be unbelievable. And he needs the games, like you say. I mean, you can't play at that under 21 level forever, can you? You've got to eventually go right. Let's get something happening. I mean, some people have said, myself included, think he should be above Bamford actually in the pecking order for that striker position, but I don't see that happening really. So yes, let's put a Twitter rumor out. Can we get a Twitter rumor out? I
think it's already there in like pockets of Lincoln fans and fan groups and stuff like that. As soon as Skubala was appointed, a mate of mine, Gary Hutchinson, who works he does a lot of stuff for the Stacey West blog and actually runs the whole thing. To be fair, was already looking at that link with Leeds United and who is there that actually could benefit us as a club, sort of thing, and that connection. So it makes sense. Just reflecting actually on last night, your Joe Gelhardt discussion.
Yes.
What was your kind of overall feeling with that? Because actually, Joe Gelhardt strikes me as a young striker that needs some time out on loan. Hey, Preston.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be fair to him, because he had a loan at Sunderland last season, it didn't really work for him, and he was a bit unlucky because Stewart got injured at Sunderland, and suddenly Gelhardt had to become the figurehead up front, and it didn't really work, and I don't think he left that good of an impression there, and he's come back to Leeds and he's just not kicked on at all. Hugely talented, and to be fair, maybe a low move to a Lincoln type might just be the one. Jason actually thinks he might end up a League One player, so there you go. It could happen.
It makes sense. It would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Going forward then for Leeds, quite a busy week. The 3 games that are coming up. Obviously, Blackburn Rovers away in the lunchtime kickoff on Saturday, followed by Sunderland away on Tuesday, and then Coventry at home the following Saturday. Now, 2 out of those 3 sides, of course, are looking there or there around the playoff. They're in that chasing pack. Coventry, so certainly not off the pace of what you expect from Coventry, but that's a tricky run of games.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, it's that quality in the division. We seem to be saying this every week. You're coming up against tough teams. I mean, Blackburn really decent run until they lost to Wednesday, which I think John Dahl Thomason's gone mental out on the sideline, so he's got himself banned for this week's game. So I don't know if that'll affect things in our favour, as it can kind of go either way, can't it, when a manager's not actually ranting and raving on the touchline. But they're a decent side, they're a really decent side. They've got a top player in Schmodics as well, who's banging the goals in for fun on their best run since I think they had Jordan Rhodes at the club, in 2013. So yeah, it's going to be a real tricky one. It's going to be a real tricky one. They're unpredictable as well, and they're an attacking team. They're an intense team, so it could be fireworks. I could see it being another Norwich game, actually, which we were 2-0 down at, and then we kind of clawed it back to 3-2. But I'm just hoping we don't concede early. It'd be nice if we didn't have to kind of dig ourselves out of a hole after 1 minute of the match. But then Sunderland, I don't think they've got a new manager yet. I was surprised at Tony Mowbray going. I really was. I was that kind of... Yeah. I was shocked at that, really. I thought he's done really, really well there. And that'll be a tough one, see if they get a new manager bounce or if it's still a caretaker situation. So, yeah, really tough week, to be fair.
I saw a link, to be fair, on, I think it was The Athletic, by a guy that on Twitter, and the kind of the trailer, I guess, for the article was along the lines of, actually, it isn't that big a surprise that Sunderland are young, they've got quite a young board, a young chairman. They've kind of got young ideas and a youthful squad. So actually, is the idea of having a 60-year-old Tony Mowbray in charge kind of not in line with that? So actually, in the grand scheme of things, the article was suggesting that maybe it wasn't quite the surprise that it seems to your average football fan from the outside. But he's done a cracking job there at Mowbray. But it's pivotal now. It's one of those things for Sunderland because the right appointment gets them promoted and gets them into that playoff mix. The wrong appointment sees them drop down the table and the season fizzle out.
Yeah, I mean they were unbelievable last year, Sunderland, weren't they? They were absolutely on fire, and they obviously lost
really good stuff.
Yeah, really good stuff, and it's their chairman's. It's like it is about 25 or something, isn't it? It's ridiculously young, isn't it? It's just mad. Did you see the Kieran McKenna link that they wanted to get Kieran McKenna? I was like, what? There's no chance, surely. Which just seemed completely left field, really. But
it's weird if Ipswich weren't doing as well as they are.
Yeah.
If Ipswich was say 12th, you could kind of see it. But surely, because of how well Ipswich are doing and what McKenna's built there, he's not going to jump ship.
No. And Ipswich, for me, it's like when I was growing up, Ipswich were in the Premier League, so I still think of them as like potential Premier League team, like a Sunderland.
Yeah, you're older than me, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
I always think of Sunderland being a Premier League team.
Yeah, them too. Yeah. Thanks, Chris.
Predictions then, I guess for Blackburn in particular, and obviously for Sunderland as well. If you want to kind of double up on your predictions for Tuesday night as well.
Yeah, a bit nervous about the Blackburn one, early kickoff as well, and I could see it being like a 2-2 draw, I think, but that's going to be a tough one. Sunderland, I think
you just don't know.
No. I mean,
whether they appoint by then.
Yeah, exactly. I think if we've not won at the weekend against Blackburn, I think it'll be like must win. I think we'll beat Sunderland, but I'm not too sure about Blackburn, to be honest. I could see a draw, maybe a 2-2 or something, and maybe we'll beat Sunderland 2-1 or something like that.
Fair enough. Gaz has been very patient whilst we've been talking about the Championship. And to be fair, Gaz, you looked a lot more interested than Dave Foy would have done if Dave had been able to join us when we talked about the Championship. For Bradford, I mean, it's been a little while, hasn't it, since you're playing in Sky Bet League 2. But all in all, Graham Alexander seems to be turning things around slowly. And of course, a midweek win, albeit against Liverpool's kids in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, Papa John's Trophy, LDV Vans Trophy, whatever the hell you want to call it nowadays. But a good win, 4-0.
Yeah, 4-0. Yeah, to be honest, I watched that on iFollow, and Liverpool's kids actually look really good at times, particularly going forward. Lots of pace and lots of movement. They had Ben Doak playing, who I believe they've got high hopes for, who they got from Celtic. He was like their standout man. They had a man sent off not long before half-time, which kind of like inspired them for up until half-time, and then second half we just took over against 10 men, really. But yeah, it's another win. He's got a good bit of form going for us at the moment. After a shaky start, he's gone surprisingly to 3-5-2, which I bemoaned at the start of the season. He's gone to it now, and it's working for him where it didn't work for Hughes. So, suddenly things are looking rosy. Obviously, you never know with Bradford, and the league forms everything. A few of the wins have been in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy. I think we've only had a couple of wins in the league. So yeah, league form's what matters. But so far, so good at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to say that red card for the Liverpool youngster. My God, I've rarely seen a more obvious red for a long, long time.
Yeah, it was a shocker, wasn't it? And I think, like, because I follow a few Liverpool accounts on Twitter, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, deserved red card." I was like, "Yeah, you can say that again." It's a horror tackle, really. It was just good that Kieran Kelly got up from it and managed to carry on playing, because the way the Liverpool lad flew in, you were a bit worried about him at the time. But yeah, he saw the match out, or I think he might have got subbed late on, but he was fine, which was a relief, really. But a horrible tackle.
Yeah, not pleasant at all. So, in terms of the league form before that, talk us through. I mean, obviously, I don't think we've spoken to you too much in the grand scheme of things since Greta came in. How's it been going generally? Obviously, I know it was a slightly slow start and there was a defeat at Notts County, but a couple of results since.
Yeah, we lost the first game home to Barrow. Brownie was on about before conceding early goals, and we did that in Graham Alexander's first couple of games, conceded really early goals. And we probably were unlucky to lose at home to Barrow in his first game, to be honest. Then we went to Notts County, got absolutely battered in the first half. We were 4-0 down, and then won the second half 2-0, and surprisingly could have got a draw out of that game. It was like a proper game of two halves. And then since then we beat Accrington at home, which was always a tough game, isn't it? Accrington, John Coleman. That was a really, really scrappy game. Lots of sort of bit of a war of attrition, really. Not many chances
with Accrington. No, that's a
Say again.
fiasco. We'll come to that.
Yeah. The only bit of quality in that game was our goal and the finish. A great finish from Tyler Smith. We won that 1-0. Rest of it, like I said, pretty dull, pretty attritional. And then we went to Forest Green, and I was a bit worried going to Forest Green because we'd already lost away at Tranmere and at Sutton this season, and I'd been at both. And I didn't go to Forest Green, and we won 3-0. So maybe a bit of a message there, but yeah, they didn't look great at all. And then we've not played really in the league since. We've just I think that was either Tuesday last or the Tuesday before that. And then, like I said, we've only played in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy other than that, but we've been winning in that as well. So we've got Salford on Saturday, which will be a test because it's a test of two styles, really, because Graham Alexander's really direct and they like to play passing football. I was listening to his pre-match presser today, and he was saying that Salford have a few players out, and we're getting our players back. So that bodes well. Alex Patterson came on Tuesday night for his first appearance since Mark Hughes' last game at Tranmere. We've really missed him because he was a brilliant signing for us, and he started the season really well. He's had a couple of hamstring injuries, but yeah, he looked good coming back on Tuesday night. So him and Verdane Oliver being back are a big boost for us. Obviously, probably both not going to play 90 minutes, but to be able to bring in and sort of rest Andy Cook in Verdane Oliver's case, or take Gilead or Jamie Walker off to bring Patterson back in the other case, good place to have. So yeah, things are looking up. But like I say, we need to string a bit of a run together in the league. 2 wins is good, but we need to bring it to win a few more to be looking up the table rather than down.
Yeah, just before we fully move away from that game on Tuesday night, speaking of Verdane Oliver, a good night for him. His first goal in a Bradford shirt since New Year's Day.
Yeah, he had a couple of really bad injuries, which have affected us really. I think he did his knee and was out for the end of last season. And then in pre-season training, he did his groin, and I heard him say that he tore it completely off the bone. So he'd had a really bad groin tear. And we've really missed him because obviously the pressure's on Cook anyway, with him being the record he's got. But last season, we were able to sort of take him out of the firing line in games or rest him here and there and bring Verdane Oliver on, and we haven't had that option. So Cook's been sort of, playing 90 minutes every single game, really. So to have Verdane Oliver back to come off the bench in those situations, having when he's been out for 9 months is a real big plus for us, and obviously for him too. He sounded delighted in his interview after the game on Tuesday. He did the post-match. And he just sounded delighted to be back. What a tough sort of journey he's had, being out for 9 months, and he was praising the physios and stuff, and obviously he scored, so that's a real bonus for us. I think it was only his second appearance off the bench since he's come back, so massive. And like I say, if that means that we can sort of rotate a bit with Cookie, it might help him out as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've touched on already the fact that it is Salford. It's 2 I mean, might upset a couple of people here, but it's two clubs with big budgets for League Two that are both doing disappointingly badly in the league on paper. So it comes into this game with Bradford sitting in 14th and Salford down in 18th. And look, it's two sides that at the start of the season we would have expected to be around those playoff places, even at this, not quite the halfway stage.
Yeah, I think that Gary Neville said regarding Salford that he was sacked Graham Alexander too soon, and he sacked Richie Wellens too soon. So maybe that's why Neil Woods is sort of clinging on a bit there, because looking at the league table, you're surprised he's still there, to be honest. Yeah. Regarding us, like, we've had a little bit of an upturn since Graham Alexander came in after the first couple of games. So we're like wanting to keep it going and keep us moving forward. But yeah, it's one of those, like you said, both teams will be expecting to do better. I know that Salford will have a big budget. I don't think ours is probably as big as some people think it is, but it will be in the top 6 or 8 in the division, you thought. So definitely we should be doing better than we are. I thought at the start of the season, I think I discussed with you guys that it was going to be a tough year for us. But now that Hughes has gone, because I was pretty much heading towards the Hughes out camp, now that he's gone, I'm a bit more optimistic. And obviously, if we can build a run going forward in the league, then that's only going to sort of fuel that. And I'm a bit positive about Alexander at the moment, which is strange for me because I'm normally quite negative, but I'm feeling quite good at the moment. And yeah,
Gaz,
so 14th we are. What did you say, Salford are? 18th?
18th currently, yeah.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think they've got
Sorry, Gaz, go ahead, mate.
I think they've got a few injuries, so that might be affecting them like our injuries affected us too. So it'll be interesting to see how Saturday goes, really, and if we can keep the run going.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because you brought him up a couple of times there, Mark Hughes, and he was on Sam Allardyce's Tippy Tappy podcast. What did you make of what he had to say? Because generally he's kind of saying that he was kind of happy to kind of ride it out, even though you weren't in the best of form. But what did you think? What did you think of what he had to say?
It was good to hear from him, actually, Brownie, because I was like, no one had heard anything from him since he'd left. Yeah. That's the first time I've heard him speak. And he looked well, didn't he? He said he'd been on holiday, had topped his tan up and that. And, he looks like he were all right. So that's the main thing. It's obviously not affected him too much losing his job. But he said that he was happy to ride it out. He said that people within the club were probably panicking a lot more than he was. And he felt that after last season, he probably deserved a bit longer. And it was the first time that we'd lost. I think he said it was the first time we'd lost back-to-back games for goodness knows how long. So he thought that getting the sack at that time was harsh. The problem that he had was it's the same that you have, that all managers have at City. Once you've lost the fans, and there's that many of us in away grounds and at home games, it's so difficult to come back. We've spoken about it before. The fact that we sell season tickets at such cheap prices means that the board have to keep the fans on side. And you get the impression sometimes, rightly or wrongly, that they pay too much attention to what the fans are saying. And as soon as the fans have gone, that's it. And the manager's gone too. So I don't think there was any coming back. I was at Tranmere in his last game and it was horrendous. It was Gary Bowyer at Oldham levels horrendous. It was just you getting sacked in the morning. And to be fair to him and Glyn Hodges, they came over to the away fans, and I wouldn't have done it because they came right over to applaud us at the end. And it was horrendous. It was the whole stand singing "You're getting sacked" in the morning, and they were standing in front of us clapping. I just don't think there was any coming back from it. So I can kind of see where he was coming from. But
you'd have done the Darren Moore, wouldn't you? Yeah, you'd have done the Darren Moore, wouldn't you? Straight down the tunnel, like that's it. Forget it.
Well, I'd have had Darren Moore at us, but I think he's turning it around a bit at town now, isn't he? So he might get a bit longer there.
Yeah, we'll go on to that in a moment or two. I guess for someone like Mark Hughes, he's always kind of going to say something along those lines, isn't he? That he was axed too early, but also, I guess from a footballing perspective, out of the backroom staff and those on the board at Bradford, he's the one with the experience that's kind of been there, done it, and knows how to get sides, out of sticky situations. I guess he's done it a few times at Premier League level.
Yeah, he's always going to say that, and no manager's going to come out and say, "Oh yeah, they were right to let me go." He's going to come out, and it wasn't like nasty about it. He wasn't like really abrasive about it. He just said that was his opinion. I thought he handled it quite well, which you'd expect him to with his experience. I think the fact that he was the only one with football knowledge at the club and the manager tends to be the only one with football knowledge at City is a problem that we've got. And I don't know.
That's such a worrying sentence.
Yeah, me and Lou have talked about this in the group chat, and I've tweeted about it a lot. And I just think that Ryan in particular needs either a director of football or he needs some kind of football advisor on the board, because when things go wrong like that, it is literally the manager is the only person with any footballing experience there. And who's he reporting to? He's reporting to Ryan, who doesn't really have any footballing experience. So, yeah, I do feel that's an issue. And there was a good article written for Width of a Post, actually, by Jim Nicholson a couple of weeks ago. It might have been last week. Talking about how he sees things and how they sort of what we could do to improve things behind the scenes, and I'd urge anyone to go and look at that really, because it summed up what I think the problems are at City, and he articulated himself really quite well. It just feels like everything rides on the manager at City. There's no accountability elsewhere, and if the manager doesn't work, then it's just right, get rid of him, get another manager in, and just keep doing it. And the only person that it's worked with for us over the last 20 years is Phil Parkinson, so we've not got a very good hit rate. So it makes you think maybe other things should perhaps change too, and we should change the structure a little bit. Obviously, it won't happen now with Alexander in, because he's the type of manager, I think he's very much like Phil Parkinson, and things need to ride on the manager when he likes to take responsibility for stuff. But in the long term, I think maybe that's the route we should go down of looking at the structure and a coach and a director of football type thing. Hopefully we won't need it for a while, because hopefully Alexander will do all right. But long term, I think we do.
We'll not leave Bradford City just yet, but I am going to bring in Steven Browne as well, who has been waiting in the wings to join us. Good evening, Steve. You all right?
Good evening. City's going up. They're going to win the cup. Now you're going to believe us. Gazzy's positive tonight. He's positive. He went a bit negative then. Get back on that positive train, son.
It's unusual for me. I'm normally so negative, really negative, but
it's family tea.
I'm just normally so negative. I just can't help it at the moment. I've got a funny feeling that things are going all right, and I just look at our squad and having gone to this 3-5-2, and we're playing with 2-8. We've got Smallwood as a sitting 6, and then we're playing with 2 8s. We've got Walker and Gilead have been playing there, and that role's made for Patterson when he comes back. And having 2 up front, someone helping Cook out. Tyler Smith sort of scored a few goals as well. Things are just looking quite rosy. Probably won't be long till we lose and I'll go negative again. But yeah, I am positive at the moment.
Hear it here first. Bradford City promotion party this season, end of this season. I'm telling you. Under Alexander, you'll be like a steam train next year. Steamboating teams.
Gaz, before Steve gets many more words in edgeways, let's look at coming up then. Obviously, we've touched on the fact that you've got Salford, and for Graham Alexander, of course, it's a former club of his that he actually had success at. He brought them out of the National League, and technically took them to the Papa John's Trophy final, as it was then. He wasn't actually in charge for the final, was he? I think due to the change in management during COVID times.
Yeah, that's right. He'd gone by the time they played the final, but he has to get the credit for that, really. And like you say, he got him promoted as well. I just touch on what he said today in his pre-match. He obviously spoke about Salford and the style of play and stuff, but he also mentioned about, I was talking about our squad a few minutes ago, and he mentioned about there not going to be many signings in January, and now he's happy with the squad, which is quite refreshing to hear, really, because we have got a huge squad. So we need to get, and a lot of them are on longer-term contracts for League Two level. So if he feels he can get good stuff out of them, we aren't having to rip it up and start again too much. That's a positive.
I mean, as long as he stays the hell away from Ryan East at Rochdale as well, that would be really nice. But
you said he's been playing as a 10, didn't you, Chris?
Say again.
You said he'd been playing as a 10, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, who the hell saw that coming for a start? Ryan East. I mean, he'd never scored a career goal. And I think, to be fair, I think it's now like 4 in probably the last 6 or 7 games. But at one point, he had 4 goals in 4 games because he's suddenly been playing effectively just off the striker. And again, nobody really saw it coming. Jim McNulty had tried similar with Harvey Gilmore, to be fair, earlier in the season of using Gilmore just off the strike, and it wasn't that effective. The fact that he's put Ryan East there has been an absolute masterstroke that, as I say, nobody saw coming from Rochdale's perspective. And I think I can well imagine there'll be some head scratching going on amongst the Bradford fan base, thinking, "Where's this Ryan East come from that's scoring goals?"
Yeah, it's funny because obviously he's doing well there, and then we've got Jake Young out at Swindon who's banging him in. So
Yeah, now he needs taking back.
I can't see us not bringing Jake Young back. Although, to be fair, Tyler Smith's playing well alongside Andy Cook, but you'd be stupid not to recall the division's top scorer, wouldn't you? Even if he doesn't come into our squad, you're probably going to sell him and get a decent fee for him. But I could see, on the basis of how the two are playing, you could see City wanting them both back. The thing that might stand Rochdale in good stead is this formation that we're playing, because we're not really playing with a 10. We're playing with 2 8s and a 6. And we've got sort of a lot of people who can play in that 8 position. We're playing Gilead and Jamie Walker there at the moment. We've got Alex Patterson coming back. Clark Adore can play there. So we have got options to play in that 8. And I wouldn't say that Ryan East can really play as a 6. I would say that you cover for Smallwood at 6 is McDonald when he's fit again. So that might help Rochdale. But based on his performances, you can't see us not wanting him back.
Yeah, this is the thing. I mean, I spoke to him quite a couple of weeks or so ago now. I think after he'd scored twice against Altrincham, I think Tuesday night, week before last. And I spoke to him afterwards and said, "You just make sure your phone's switched off for the entirety of January." And he, tongue-in-cheek smiled at me, sort of thing. So I'm hoping that he's going to stick to his mannerisms, if not his word.
Well, he's out of contract at the end of the season too, Chris. So if someone can offer it, I don't know whether Rochdale would be in a position to do that, but if they could offer him something for next season, then.
Mate, if there's a club that you need to kind of just Google at the moment, Google words Rochdale and takeover fiasco, and
right,
there's a whole host of. Honestly, last week we were supposed to be taken over, and it's all fallen through. There's a new consortium that have literally registered their business, this JNG group, at the Crown Oil Arena, and now allegedly it's fallen through. It is an absolute shit show. I'm not going to lie. Just Google that. So if it's money that Ryan East needs to stay at Rochdale, he's not going to bloody get it, sadly.
No, I was just thinking whether obviously I think he's on loan initially for the season, isn't he? Obviously, there's normally a recall clause in January. I was just wondering if you'd be able to offer him a deal for next season, and that might swing it. But
I mean, hopefully that to be fair, I think if everything works out in the best case scenario, and some form of takeover went through where Rochdale are actually just stable financially, I think is what we take right now, then I think Jim McNulty, without a shadow of a doubt, would have Ryan East back next season if he could, even on the basis of just how he's played in this first half of the season. It's just one of those that anything can happen for Rochdale as a club in the next 6 months between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, it's like I say, with him coming back to City, looking at how he's playing, you'd have him back straight away. It's just whether the fact that our squad's so huge and we have a lot of options in that position, it could stand Rochdale for keeping him. Yeah,
time will tell. No midweek game for Bradford this week, so just the one game I want a prediction from you for. The Salford game then. Grezza against his former club. Will he get one over him?
I think he will. Like I say, it's really odd for me, but I'm feeling quite positive at the moment. We're on a good run. They've got a lot of injuries. We played really well the other night. We played pretty well in the last league game against Forest Green. So yeah, let's predict a win, and then we go to Gillingham, I think, the week after, which will be really tough.
Yeah, that will be a tricky game to be fair, but we'll come to that next week. Steve, how are we doing, mate? How are you?
It's crap for Manchester clubs at the moment with takeovers, isn't it? It's not going well right now.
Honestly, just don't get me started. Last week was we were literally every day. I think last week we were thinking, right, tomorrow it'll be announced. Tomorrow it'll be announced, and it just never happened.
I've got a theory. I've got a theory. Maybe it's not being announced because Sir Jim Radcliffe's coming into the Crown Oil Arena.
That's far better than the outcome we were on last week. Honestly, when you've got a consortium made up of who was on it, there's a chap that is a radio DJ in Norfolk.
Alan Partridge.
I was going to say.
Say again.
It probably is Alan Partridge.
Yeah, to be fair, apparently this guy genuinely had a mid-morning show, I think, on BBC Radio Norfolk.
Oh my God.
100%. So there's him. A guy called Gary Strum that I don't know how much I can say without being liable, but just Google his name and that'll tell you everything. Wow. I'm not in the shit there, am I? And then who's the third guy?
No, you're legally sound. We're not going to get sued for millions.
some 27-year-old investment fund guy who spends 6 months of the year in New York and 6 months in Preston. So, yeah.
Sounds great.
All that and the footballing link in here is the fourth person will be Guy Branston. Remember him, Gaz?
I do remember him.
Guy
Yeah,
Branston.
big guy.
Yeah. So yeah,
What's he
Had him
up
on
to
the
these
show one
days?
time.
There's
Say
a
again,
funny
Gaz.
story. What's he up to these days? Because I know a few years ago he developed some kind of app for football training, and it just sort of got laughed at by everybody.
Who, Guy Branston?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'll have to.
he's in some kind of. I mean, again, Google it. It's on his LinkedIn page, but some form of like player development role or business or industry or whatever. But anyway, it's a whole mishmash of people that you're like, what the hell brings you together to want to get involved at Rochdale? Just genuinely, Google Rochdale Fans Forum. There is umpteen threads about the whole fiasco, and it is
bedtime reading.
Yeah.
Let's come back to the Terriers then, Steve. Darren Moore,
Legend. Honourable legend.
Proper changed your mind about him then.
No, I
I'm just going to pull some clips from previous shows right now, I'm telling you.
we saw Steven Downes a couple of weeks ago in Leeds when we went that night out, and at no point that night did he call Darren Moore a legend, did he? You hold your tongue, Steven Downes.
I'm half joking. Right, he's got a long way to become a bloody legend. No, so the Southampton game, first half, abysmal. I sat there thinking, what have I wasted my entire life for supporting this club? Like I usually do every weekend. And then the second half, oh my God, we changed totally. It was unreal. Southampton did the little speedboat, left-hand rudder, broken, twirling around in a circle, Russell Martin crap. Passing the ball around, nice-looking speedboat, lovely-looking team, just rubbish at playing football. Good at playing football, just not in the right areas. And really, I just thought we had some great breakaways. We played it quite well in the first half in terms of the tactics, although we didn't have a lot of shots. I mean, Josh Karoma, he should have scored. Please go back and watch how he runs through, and because he can't shoot on his right foot. I don't think he's got a right foot. He didn't take the shot, and yeah. So anyway, we went in. I was quite. I was okay, we're not doing too bad. And then to come away with a draw after that game, particularly the second half, when we could have won it, really, with the chances that we had in the second half, I was quite pleased, really, even though the stats at half-time were abysmal. 82% possession to Southampton and 19 to Town. He's not great, but I don't think stats tell a full story, and you've got to be at the game, watching the game to tell the true story. And in the first half, whilst we had not very many bits of possession, we did have a few breakaway and chances. And really, by the end of the game, I was thinking that's a cracking point, and we could have even beaten them. Turn that into midweek against Sunderland. Not as good football inside, but certainly up and at them side with Tony Mowbray. And we go and beat them. And yes, again, the performance isn't amazing, but my God, we've got the 3 points and we run away from the North East as quick as I can say Sunderland Football Club. Tony Mowbray is sacked for his inability to beat Huddersfield Town Football Club, which is quite funny.
I think the
final straw. And then we go into Swansea. Again, team not doing very well under Michael Duff. They've had a big change around, club in transition, and it's not quite worked for them. We went there, we led for 94 minutes and conceded a 94th minute equaliser. I was out at the time. I was absolutely gutted because, again, the performance was crap. The statistics were crap, but we were winning the game and we went and drew. And yeah, people were saying it was a good point, and I agree. The week's been massive for Darren Moore. I mean, this week is literally the last week's been so pivotal for him. And to come out with 5 points from 3, what arguably could have been tricky games, has been quite well. And obviously, Michael Duff has followed Tony Mowbray out the door. Swansea's board has
decided to sack him as well. So we're good at sacking managers at the moment, opposition managers.
To be fair, there was a long time at Guiseley when Guiseley were doing particularly badly around the National League season, so just struggling to stay up. The amount of times Guiseley would pick a win out from absolutely nowhere, and the opposition would then sack the manager, and we always refer to the even Guiseley law, like even Guiseley beat us, so we're getting rid of you. It happened time and time again over the course of like 4 seasons in the National League or whatever it was. So that seems to be what Darren Moore's doing. Like, we've lost to Huddersfield, we've got to go.
We honestly, the 3 performances, I wouldn't say were spectacular performances in any shape, way, form at all. But the points are the ones that matter, isn't it, boys?
Yeah.
And that's what we've got on the board. And we're looking okay. The defence is stabled. We look far more solid. Still not creating any chances or enough chances really to warrant to win games. But the chances that we at least have created in the games have led to goals, albeit the one at Swansea was an own goal. But the fact that Headley still got in there, crossed the ball, made a difference. He should have scored in the first minute, in fact. But that's been our problem for a long time. We haven't had a creative. We don't have the players that they can create things, but they don't finish these chances off, and that's the problem we've had for quite a long time, actually, really. So I'm happy with the week. I'm happy with Aaron. I'm not calling him a legend just yet. I'm not saying that we're definitely not safe.
You worried about QPR, Steve? You worried about QPR suddenly turning the corner?
Nah, I don't know. Because right. So the thing is about the teams at the bottom is what we do in January. So QPR, I expect to be able to go out and sign a few players. So I imagine that they will improve. Even though nobody's heard of the guy that's in charge of them.
Oh, poor Marty Cifuentes.
Yeah, exactly. Who the hell's he? He's like some Brazilian that they've got from whatever. But anyway, nobody's heard of the bloke. But what they might do is they might give him a bit of money to spend. QPR always pull a few coins out from the back of the couch, don't they, and spend a bit. So I imagine that might happen in January. Rotherham. They've probably scraped the bottom of the barrel as much as they can get, and they're going down.
Yeah, they haven't, have they? To my knowledge,
no, they've not appointed a new manager, which I just find is totally weird. I think they're accepting their fate slightly, to be honest, because I just think that they know that they're not good enough and they're going to go down. Sheffield Wednesday put up a fight, didn't they, recently? But I mean, Danny Rowe celebrated like he won Champions League away at Leicester, getting a 1-1 draw. Sit down, lad. You've not done out yet.
That's a cracking point.
You are? Oh, it's a cracking point. It's a cracking point for Darren Moore against Southampton, but he won't go in there stands high-fiving 7,000 Town fans, would he? It's all very calm, collected, and we've picked up the point. So I'm quite happy with what we've done, but January is going to be the testing point. Kevin has got, and the team, backroom team, have got to get some ideas with players that we need. And January is going to be vital and pivotal, really. But I'm happy for Darren.
Do you foresee Kevin, doing a QPR and finding some coins down the back of a sofa, or I don't know, a Shay Long, whatever he's got in his house?
Yeah, I think that by the sounds of what they've said and the 2 recent episodes of the Netflix style documentary came out, and it was another 2 good watches, I have to say, even though it's not everybody's cup of tea. And then he did a Radio Leeds interview as well. I don't think there's going to be masses to spend, but I think he does want to show a little bit of ambition and give Darren a chance. And I think he is starting to slowly understand how weak our squad actually is. You take a few of them first team players out, and that does hamper it. I mean, the game against Watford, we were thinner than a Rivita's biscuit, weren't we? There was literally nothing left. It might as well have been sawdust with how many players we had out. So give him some money. I wouldn't say give him millions, because I'm not convinced that he'll spend it wisely. But give him enough money to, keep us in the division. That's what I'd say.
I mean, you say about spending it wisely. Obviously, Kevin Nagel made quite the bold claim when Neil Warnock was moved on, and it was the man that we want is out there who's going to lead this club forward for the next 3 years. Obviously, Darren Moore is that man that they wanted. You'd think they have to, this is where they're going to put the money where the mouth is, so to speak, actually back in to keep you in the league.
Oh, 100%. I mean, with Neil, they always said it was going to be a short term, and yes, everybody didn't expect the short term to be so short. But I think that
there's all the hype around, Darren Moore is our man. He's the man to lead us.
Yeah.
Now,
well, they've
the windows.
Well, they've done the old adage, haven't they? They've put the colours to the mast, haven't they? And because they've done that now, they've come out and they've said, we all know he's got a 3.5-year deal, and we're not going to pay him off with compensation. Kevin came out in the last international break and said that there were no way they were going to sack him. Even when he was under pressure, after the Leeds game. So he's their man. Now they've got to show the colour of the money and buy some players and some quality that can play in this division. As much as what I've enjoyed watching Jack Radoni play for us and come on leaps and bounds from Wimbledon, being their top scorer that got them relegated to League Two, and I love that. I love a little player coming along like that. You've got to have some quality in there, and we have shown that when our first team players come back, we can put some good performances in. But the problem is with these players is they're not going to get as high. They're not yet. All right, everybody looks at Corberan and the season we had, but that was an anomaly. In a regular, normal season after season, these types of players that we've got are not going to get you higher than 15th, 14th in the division. And ultimately, Kevin wants, in a 3-year period, to be up there challenging it, or I believe so. Not come out and said it in as much as them terms, but I think that's what he's expecting and that's what he'd like to happen.
Do you think the Stars...
I was just
going to say, if the stars had aligned and say Kevin had been in there earlier before Corberan left, I mean that could have been your man for promotion, couldn't it? Corberan, really. I mean that season that he got you to a playoff final, and if he'd have been backed properly, I don't know if that had have happened, a little bit sooner.
I think, but at the same time, that Corberan just showed his true colours, didn't he? When things got tough in the first instance, he battled through it. Then he had a season where he created a miracle, and then he wanted a proper backing, and he didn't get it, and so he threw his dummy out the pram and went.
Well, that's
but Chris, my point is, my point is that I'm coming on to though is he's had backing at West Brom, and arguably he's got a lot better squad at West Brom than what he did at Town, even in the promotion season with the loans that we had. And he's not creating a lot there, is he? So,
I don't know.
Well, you're not looking at West Brom now and you're thinking, oh my God, they're absolutely dominating the division and they're definitely going to go. Well, the West Brom aren't in my top 6. No way they're in my top 6.
All right, maybe they're not in your top 6, but the table.
If Leeds and West Brom play each other in the playoffs, they will absolutely beat us in the playoffs.
No, they won't. No, they won't. Shut up. No, they won't. You
Honestly, I don't want any part of that.
Chris, do you look at West Brom and think that they're a top 6 side? Realistically, in your opinion,
not as much chance of being there as a lot of other clubs. To be fair.
Right, let me just get the table.
They don't concede though, do they? I know they're lost.
If you want to wrap this up in a few minutes' time.
No. I just this is a good
around. What are the two key positions? Focus on 2 that you think Huddersfield needs to strengthen the most.
A striker and a proper attacking creative midfielder.
Yeah, I'll be honest, that is exactly what I expected you to say because we've been moaning the goal situation all season, so a striker was obvious.
Yeah, the striker's obvious.
And was also going to be up there, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, you look at the midfield. I mean, when everybody's fit, you've got Johnny Ogg, who you never take out the side, and I hope plays till he's 103. You've got Ben Wiles, who hasn't necessarily impressed me so far, but I think he's one of them players where if he has a proper pre-season under his belt and no injuries, he might become a right player. So I'm not writing him off just yet, but he's not an attacking midfielder. He's more of a box-to-box. And I actually think Jack Radoni is more of a box-to-box rather than just a number 10. I think he's got more to his game than that. And so I just wouldn't slip him just into an attacking midfielder. Or what we miss is, and I'm like, this is a very bad, forgive me, example, but we miss a James Maddison type. That's what he is. That's what he does, and that's what he creates. And we don't ask him to do anything else. A bit like when we had Miejski years ago, or that kid from Bristol, Jamie Patterson, who he was an attacking midfielder, and we for some reason played him on the left wing. So yeah, they're the types that I think we need. Yeah.
Steve, do you think, therefore, you've said for a while that they need to strengthen the squad and the squad's weak, and we were talking in the summer about how it was possibly financial fair play might have been a reason that you weren't getting backs. If they don't, you've said for a while that they need to spend in January. If they don't, do you then start to question Kevin and his colleagues?
I think they'll be far more quick. I think there's been a lot of criticism at the beginning of the season. There wasn't really any in the summer because I think everybody expected, look, he's coming at the end of June. He's an American owner. He probably don't know the league. Yes, we've got people in place that do know a bit of British football, but it's all new. And to be fair, every department of the club were being looked at. So I give him the summer and the first couple of months in the season to get settled in. But they've made a decision with Neil. The Darren Moore situation and the decision that they made around him has been so, either in one opinion badly handled, but in the second opinion so massive in terms of putting the colour to the mast. I just think they have to spend gas because the squad is just not. So we have a squad, but the problem with our squad is, I'd say, I don't know the exact percentages, but I would say our squad is 50 or very close to 50% being made up of academy players or B team players, right? So we have a very not bad first 11, but when you get past that, there's not a lot there. You're looking at kids, B team players or players that are injured. So that's where we need to strengthen, and you need to strengthen the first 11 to ultimately make that better, to rise higher in the league. But you also need to strengthen the whole squad, so we don't have a situation where against Watford we're playing with 2 less men on the bench, and the average age of the bench is something like 20-year-old. I think the highest player on there was Ruffles, and the rest of them were kids. So, and that's a Championship football club. I'd agree maybe at League 2 level, that's you're not maybe doing bad there, but not at Championship level. I think, at Championship football club level, you should be having a squad of 20 players that are proper of that quality. Do you know what I mean?
What's going on with it? No, sorry, guys, go on.
No, so basically you're saying, you do have to, the focus will be on them and what they spend.
The short answer, Gaz, is yeah. I think if we don't spend and we don't get, I'd say 3 or 4. I think you need only 3 or 4 to get through this season, and then you can have a proper look at it in the summer. But I think if you buy 3 or 4 and they don't do that, say if we only bring 1 player in and 4 go out or whatever, then I think there's going to be questions asked, and even then I'd be having doubts of, look, I really like what Kevin says on a broader stroke picture of the club, what he wants to do with the town and all that. And I really like what he says. But ultimately, British football, we all know, sat here, is 3 points on a Saturday. What happens on the football pitch? And that's the be all and end all. It's a business here. It's not a fun little tea party that you come to and have you can come back to it whenever you want. It's a business, and you get this business wrong and you end up in the crap like we've just been talking about, Rochdale, bloody, whoever.
I think that's fair. Mate. Yeah.
What were you going to say, Steve, about
No, I
Rhodes?
was just going to say, what's happened to Bergzorg recently? Because I hadn't seen you for a few weeks, and he looked absolutely class earlier in the season. But what's going on with him? Is he still kind of?
Well, he's still
Showing his
he's
quality,
he's still the Colin Quanon of today. Really, you never know what you're going to get with him. So, like against Leeds, he was absolutely abysmal, wasn't he? You know what I mean? He was terrible. But then, you know, against Sunderland, he was really effective. He scored the goal. He created chances. He gets in behind. He does a lot of running, which I like about him. You know, he's not just one of these lone players that's a bit lazy who don't want to do it. He'll actually crack on and run and chase balls and works hard, and I like that about him. It's just when he gets the ball, nobody in the stadium, I mean, not even God himself up there knows what that lad's going to do with a football.
Just for a second, I thought you were just describing a terrier when you were saying he runs and chases balls, but
well, yeah. I could have gone with that analogy, but I went with a God one. So there we go.
Predictions then, Steve. You know, back-to-back home games for your side for Saturday and Tuesday. Saturday at home to Bristol City, who themselves are a little bit hit and miss. And again, where are we at with the managerial situation for them, by the way? Because that might have bypassed me. Didn't they get rid of Pearson?
Yeah, Pearson's gone now. A bit, I don't know, semi-surprised by it. Bristol City fans seem to like him, so
yeah,
I don't really.
Fairly stable, didn't they?
Yeah, I just don't think he ever got it going there. He spent a lot of money, didn't he? Where like was it not last season before, where he spent like 20, 25, 30 million, and that's a lot of money for Bristol City Football Club. Yeah, he spent like 25 million, 30 million, and I don't know, mate. But they spent a lot of money. One transfer season, they spent a lot of money, and you thought this is the season that they're going to actually crack on and make a play for it, and it never worked out. And I think last season the whole thing for Pearson probably just ran out of energy and juice and whatever. But he's gone. I don't know. I don't think they've replaced him with anybody, but I could be wrong about. I could be wrong about that. Bristol City's at other end of country for me, so I couldn't really give a crap about them. But an interesting side.
Right, he's been there a while as well. It's Liam Manning, who was obviously MK.
Oh, yeah. So Liam Manning was apparently.
That passed me by.
Yeah, so Liam Manning was apparently very, very close to getting the town job. Very close to getting the town job. Apparently, after he left Wigan. So, and I think I don't mind how he speaks. You know, I think he's a decent manager. I think he was Arsenal's threat at Wigan. And you know, I know he did well at MK. Well, he sort of did well at MK Dons, didn't he, for a bit? So it'll be interesting. New manager bound, see what happens with them. I think they're the weakest side. I don't know. Would you say they're weaker than Swansea? Probably the better footballing side than Swansea. But the difference I would say is that if you get a goal early against Bristol, their heads drop normally. So I'm hoping for a 2-0 victory to us. I'd like to think we can win at home. I think these 2 home games are vital. And then it's Preston on Tuesday. Preston games are normally boring as hell. My God, the amount of times we played Preston Football Club and it's never been an exciting game it would probably have to go back to 1932 last time we had a good game against Preston. So,
written all over it, yeah?
Yeah, 0-0 over a 1-0 victory to us. So off somebody's backside or off Bergzorg's big head and he's no idea where it's gone. Yeah, so I'm going for 2 wins. Gazza's positivity has rubbed off on me, and I'm going for 2 wins. And Darren Moore, by the end of next week, will be a certified No, he won't. But there we go.
Hey, he'll be well on the way.
Will he wave to the fans? Will he acknowledge the fans?
Christ, right, Steve. After the week we've had, and he gets 2 wins, if he don't come and clap the fans after the number 2 wins, I'll honestly, I might put my head in a tub. Because what's he supposed? When is he supposed to get excited?
Darren, you've just won the Champions League. He's like, no, I'm not doing it. Can't be bothered.
Yeah, won the Champions League for Huddersfield Town Football Club. Yeah, it's not an achievement. It's just not good enough, lads.
Yeah, I think on that note, I'm going to go back to Football Manager.
So yeah, I'm excited. Let's go. Let's City in town. Positivity. None of this Leeds crap. You've had your time.
Yeah, well, I've got drop points. I mean, my predictions. I'm the only one. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Why?
Tough
But
one
what's
against
your
Blackburn.
predictions?
So I think a draw against Blackburn away and beat Sunderland.
You
I know,
got
yeah. I would say, yeah, he's unbelievable, isn't he? I know he's
he's their best player this season.
Yeah, unbelievable.
But I just pick up. I know we've got to end, but I just do want to pick up on Chris's point about the table. Please just let me 1 point. Right, Leicester top, they're going to win the league. Ipswich, they're doing all right second, amazingly well. Leeds, I think you're just motoring along now. Southampton, they're up and down, but they'll finish in the playoffs. West Brom, I'm not convinced. Hull are very good under Liam Rossini. Blackpool, if Smodric keeps going, it all could happen. And then, the rest of the division's crap. So, to be honest, it's Blackburn and Hull for me in the playoffs rather than West Brom. But Gaz has gone. Oh, no, he's back.
He's gone. That's it. He's had enough.
Gaz had been up for a second. He was like not having the Blackburn in the top 6, was he?
Oh, don't be saying, they're all a lot of Blackburn fans around here. Don't be giving them too much credit.
I think
you got the hump like Klopp did then.
No, Hull and Blackburn for me. And there's always a late rider. So the late rider is going to be Middlesbrough. That's the late rider.
Is Smod, what did you call him? Smodzik?
Smodrick.
Is he the guy that was at Colchester?
Yes, he was at Colchester, then Peterborough United, and then Blackburn.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah. Thought so.
Yeah, cracking player. Very, very good player, to be fair. Well, I think it's probably a good time to wrap up this one. But yeah, thanks for everyone that's joined us and got the comments on. Kevin also in particular, and one or two others as well. Arthur Bushbury.
Kevin,
I've kept up.
Not that Kevin.
What's Kevin said?
That would be amazing.
Sorry,
What was that?
What's Kevin said? He just said Kevin's commented. I just wanted
Not
to know
that
what
Kevin Otto.
Well,
Well, hey, he's full of praise for you, Steve. He says he goes to comedy clubs and you're funnier than the comedian there.
Well, to be fair, mate, that's a lovely comment. I'll take that. Cherish it, mate. I love a bit of comedy. I'm not a very good comedian, though. Although some people say that I look like Peter Kay, but I am thinning now. I am losing a bit of weight, so maybe that image is dropping off, like the weight is.
I mean, I'm just going to bring you down ever so slightly. When was that comment from Arthur Bushby?
Yeah, I was going to say, don't show him Arthur's, for God's sake.
Worst team in Yorkshire.
He's in a good mood.
Is this guy as blind as me?
It's Jay's other account, I think.
Is it Jay's other account?
Yeah,
I don't want to know what Jay does on his other account, if I'm being honest. But...
Anyway, that is definitely a good time to end this.
Chris is like, gotta go.
Kevin and Skip, big thanks for your comments over the course of the evening. For everybody else that's watching, if you're watching on Catch Up, do give us a like and subscribe to the social media channels and on YouTube as well. It's always appreciated from us. But yes, from myself and from Steve and Gaz and Steve Downs, big thank you. And cheers for joining us tonight, gents. We'll speak to you soon.
Bye, mate.